Hi, I'm Wormfood, and the quote of the month comes from House. If you haven't watched that, go back to the last episode. He who climbs upon the highest mountains laughs at all tragedies, real or imaginary. A very uplifting quote for the month. So, I am here today with Hosuh, the lead editor and original animator for the channel Plan3. Hosuh.
Hello, nice to meet you. thank you for inviting me. It's such an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yay!
yourself? A little bit of experience that you've had?
I don't want to say anything crazy. I do. I am a part of a channel called Plan3. We make animation videos, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, you guys should come and check it out if you have time. But yeah.
I'll have links down below. Any personal Instagram, anything?
Nope, I do not use Instagram. I'm too old. I'm like you young whippersnappers, your TikTokies and all that. I don't use TikTok. I don't use Instagram. Maybe I should. Yeah.
I mean, YouTube Shorts and TikToks are about the same.
Yeah,
length.
I suppose. I watch YouTube Shorts, but I feel old when I do that, which is fine.
I feel you. All right. So today we're talking about perspectivism.
Man, philosophy.
Individual. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience with philosophy or any general knowledge of what it is?
I had a roommate who was a philosophy major. He told me a couple things about it, but oh man. Yeah. But we do talked about a lot of different stuff. Although I don't have any background knowledge in it, so I'm gonna fumble a lot in this podcast. So
hey, it's all a learning experience. If you're not learning, you're not living.
That's true. That's very true.
All right, so today we're starting off with best part, worst part. Best part of the month, worst part of the month.
I have a question. So, what's the idea behind best part and worst part?
It's best part, worst part was the idea for it. This started off as kind of like a personal project where it's like video diary, but it's kind of just a reflection.
I think it's a very healthy reflection. Huh. I actually have not thought of that today up until this recording. So okay, before I start, what was your best part of your month?
Best part of the month. So, a couple days ago, I have learned that I graduated from my school that I was going to. It's a 4-week course, and it was a aviation maintenance academy.
Oh wow, so, really? That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Graduated as a level 1 mechanic, which means that they trust me enough.
Congratulations. Yeah. Oh, that must be
you.
So exciting.
Oh, I get started next week or the week after, and it's really exciting.
Wow. Okay, that is really exciting news. Wow. Okay, I don't think I can beat that one. What was the worst part then?
Worst part, I have stayed so far away from my savings goal. As good as it was going out with a bunch of friends, I burnt way too much money while going out.
Self-restraint sometimes is a quite difficult thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I that's something that can be worked on. It's not that terrible, I think.
Oh yeah. No, it's a little bit more self-control. All that's needed.
Oh man, self-control. I wish I had more of that too.
I feel
For me, best part of my month would be we had a recording earlier this month and we finished the editing and oh man, it turned out really, really well. So
which video is that so I can link it down below?
It is not out yet. It is in the makings. So the link is not there yet. But it's gonna take at least a month to make the animation for, so it won't come out for another month. but
Understandable.
the audio was so good. We were really excited to animate it. So that's
Oh,
probably the best part, I think.
That's awesome. I love
Um,
that.
Damn. Okay.
All right. Worst part.
Worst part. I'm surprisingly really content with my life. Or at least my outlook on life is. So not a lot of things are bad things. I think the worst thing that happened probably was I play some video games. I'm playing this video game called Maple Story. Yeah, and then it kind of got glitched.
Oh, what?
So I bought certain items, and then it didn't give it to me. So it took my money and it didn't give it to me.
Oh, shit.
So I went to customer service and I requested it, and they're kind of quiet.
How long
so
did
I don't
it
think I
take?
can get my. What do you mean?
Have you gotten your money back or the items?
Nope, no. I don't think I can.
What?
It's
No.
just- no, it's not real money. It's in-game currency.
Okay, thankfully.
Right. So, yeah, thankfully. But like you notice how minor this the worst thing of the month is for me,
Right.
right? It's such a minor thing.
And there's
I don't
nothing wrong
think I
with
have anything worse. Yeah, I don't think there's anything worse that happened in my month. So
No, that is very
huh.
good. I'm very thankful that you haven't had anything major or super bad going on.
Yeah, me too. Gotta be grateful every time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thankful for everything that's coming and everything that's happened. All right, so what is the perspectivism? And I think this is where we need to run it down some. So, perspectivism,
Okay.
it is based on the individual and what they see and agree with. Their ethical principle and moral principle is their own, and it would justify any negative viewpoint, but every positive viewpoint. I sent you two examples about the evil German mustache men and Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
With perspectivism, both were
So-
justified.
Okay, so basically you're saying perspectivism is saying, oh, so I'm an individual and I decide what is ethical, I decide what's not ethical, and it all depends on the individual's
Correct.
Yeah? Okay, so I'm a mustache man, I am Hitler, and I did all these things, and, in my perspective, I think I shouldn't say I shouldn't say that.
No. We aren't agreeing
Yeah.
with him at all.
Yes, but oh yeah, all these certain race of people, I don't like them. They're awful. They killed Jesus Christ, and
And
we're
it
gonna
was
destroy all of
Completely
them.
justified in that point of view.
Well, according to perspectivism, and that's the thing.
Yeah, but you have Martin Luther King Jr., who was also everything that everybody was doing to the African Americans were completely unjustified and completely incorrect. And he advocated for human rights and advocated for free speech and abolition of any unjust act.
That's a very interesting perspective, which I definitely will not agree on. Although, yeah, I could see the reason behind why this could simplify things for philosophy in a
Right.
sense, right? You don't really have to you don't have to think about a lot of different deep mechanisms and how the world works. You just gotta go off of, oh, I decided.
Right, and
You have no say.
the big part
Yeah.
about it is that if you fully believe in perspectivism, then everybody's actions are morally justifiable within their parameters. So how do you punish those types of people?
Right.
It
So perspectivism is basically saying there's no ultimate morality. Everything's based on different individuals. Okay. Well, I do have a different idea. I do have a philosophy of my own, and
yeah.
I wouldn't say it's the most common one. I think the most common one would be a religious point of
Right.
view, right? Would it be the most religious point of view? I don't know. Are you
I do.
religious
I
by any
do
chance?
identify as a Christian, but I have looked in Buddhism,
Okay.
minor look into Hinduism. I've read a little bit of the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
I have experience outside of just Christianity.
Okay. Because a religious perspective, well, there's a lot of different religions, but especially Christianity would say we have a very specific ethicality when it comes to how things should be, and that is the
Correct.
word of God, right? And I'm sure perspectivism like completely clashes with the ideology of Christianity.
To a
Uh,
degree.
uh,
So
would it be okay?
the one of the big things is that we are given free will, so we're allowed to believe in whatever we want if there's a
Mm,
greater plan. But the perspective of a
interesting.
Christian would
Okay.
lean towards everything matters. And because everything matters,
Mm-hmm.
we rule by the Ten Commandments and the biblical purpose.
Mm. But the Bible does say there is evil, and we should not abide evil, right? So if the ideology that Christianity believes in clashes with the Hitlers, then wouldn't that kind of
I do
be
agree.
contradictory?
Yeah, my last point was
Yeah.
kind of just thrown there. I'd love to hear more about your
Mm-hmm.
personal philosophy too.
Hmm. It's a very okay. So I'm not a Christian. I'm agnostic at best. Yeah. I used to be an atheist, and then I learned a little bit more about. I'm
Yeah,
I'm a very sciencey person. Yeah, I'm a very sciencey person. So throughout my major, I learned more about how human body works, how evolution worked, or how the world works in terms
yeah,
of like nature perspective, right? And how genetics work. And so for me, God may have created you, or God. I don't think God created living beings. If there was a God, I think God
understandable.
created the initial universe and then
And let
let
things
things
be.
be. Yeah, and let things be. And then yeah, and then the based on the
Right.
physical law, basic law of the universe, right? The world went through time and changed over time. The universe started expanding more. Atoms started colliding with each other. Some of them colliding way
Yeah.
too much and exploding into different stars, right? Some of them turning into heavier elements that form parts of us, right? Initially, there were only hydrogen and helium, and then you turn into these carbon atoms. These atoms
Oh yeah,
collide
yeah.
in giant neutronic stars, right? And then they explode into different parts of the universe and then form Earth, form different planets, and then that part, right,
Right.
carbon, iron, everything that makes up our body can be found on Earth. And then what happens is that kind of chance out of probability forms into a living being, an initial living being that can create a genetic information. And over many, 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 many years, you turn into these like small mammals, you turn into these lizards. For many, many more years, we turn into humans as we know. And that is like the perspective I have, and that's the basis of where my philosophy comes from. And that is so, what is the most important thing for us as humans on Earth?
What is the most important thing? I mean,
Yeah.
societally, it would be
Mhm.
the expectation and rise of your own personal standards, from what I've gathered.
Well, for me, it's a little different. Like, in the infinite, ever infinite scale of the universe and ever infinite scale of the time that we are uh, kind of put under,
Right.
right? A lot of these individual things don't matter. Um,
Oh.
and,
Yeah.
right, a lot of these individual things quite don't matter as much. Yes, well, individually for me, I want to be happy and my happiness is really important. But at the end of the day, how we started as an organism was from a single cell, right? A genetic material that gets changed, that gets modified, and that gets evolved, quote unquote, to adapt to the situation that their environment's in. And they constantly change and adapt to what we have now. And we are a social being, right?
It makes sense.
But like at the end of the day, what I want to say is we started from an organism, and that's it. That is our ancestor. So it's not just us, a survival of individual that is important, but us as the whole.
Us as a whole species.
Not even species, right?
Not even species.
Because we started from one single cell organism. We started from a very common ancestor. Every living thing on Earth, even the plants outside, even the bacteria is here, right? So
that is such a interesting, like, just foundational perspective. I love
but
that.
But for humans, at least, if we don't have to go back that far, but we are a human, and I'm a human, you're a human. So what is important for us is humans. Right. And it's important for humans to take care of each other. It's important for humans to thrive. It's important for humans to prolong these genetic materials and prolong these information. It doesn't have to be genetic material. It could be anything you learn, words, language, culture, right?
Right. And that makes sense.
And propagating those information and changing those information, modifying them to create something better and something more amazing. I think that's the philosophy, the basis of philosophy that I want to cherish, I suppose.
And
so
very much justifiably.
And that clashes with my individual perspectivism, because perspectivism focuses on the individual's ethical morality and what is correct and what is not correct.
But counterpoint for you. Okay. The counterpoint would be the perspective of the society, because society has dictated so much of our standards, and like you said, years, we don't have to go that far back in our genetic history. We have been pushed forward to always care about the collective. But that would be a societal push, not necessarily an individual wanting to carry over. If that's the case, how do you determine the morality of situations if we're talking about prolonging human survival?
Well, it's not just survival, but it's a prosperity of human society.
Prosperity.
Because we are, at the end of the day, humans are societal creatures, right? And we communicate, we share information, and we create things, we create future. And, well, everything creates future, I suppose, but we say that we plan and build.
No. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
So, like, at the end of the day, the first thing that I wanted to, like, come to conclusion was my perspective clashes with the perspectivism, where individuals are the most important, or they are the deciding factor of what is good and what's not. For me, I say the prosperity of human society is the most important, the most should be most cherished, or it should be the ethical deciding factor. So that was the conclusion, the big underlying conclusion of this epic monologue of what I think.
Oh no, it's wonderful to hear this perspective, because the only way for us to truly communicate is to clash ideas.
Yeah, and these are very good, right? You need to have a lot of stress and clashes in order for changes to happen. And change is always, well, not always good, but change is really, really important for growth, right? So, yeah, a podcast like this has been very fruitful.
It's been very nice, and being able to, like I said at the start, you're the first guest on the podcast, and I'm really excited to have these levels of conversation. So, your biggest motivations while determining these factors, and how does that philosophy impact your job, if you had to assume? Because philosophy is that underlying basis.
Well, I'm just happy to be able to create something that I can share with other people. And the fact, if I'm creating something and I'm only logging it to myself, I don't share it with anyone, then the society will not really have an impact. I'm not going to have any impact on the society, right? But just the fact that I'm able to share anything with other people all over
and
the
we're
world.
in that golden age where we have that
Right?
extended reach.
Yeah. And that is something grateful, and that is something that can drive. It's a very minor change, like the things that I make, or the things that our team makes, aren't like super crazy to impact a society. However, it is something. It is part of a culture. It is part of something that the next thing can step on and build up on. The next step, next
And
thing can step
do you
on
ever
and build
think
up
about
on.
like people who have rough days, that they go on YouTube and see a short or see your video and it made them laugh or made them smile? That you made that impact to that one person. Have you ever thought about that?
No. Well, technically, maybe, but I don't really think about that a lot. I'm just glad that people are out there checking stuff out.
No, that's understandable. Any like specific things that helped you drive towards this philosophy? You did put it very well, I want to say.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I was able to formulate my words in a way that it can be comprehensible. I'm I'm not the most wisest in philosophy.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not sure. Yeah, but I guess the biggest drive was all like of my university years of learning about science, learning a lot about chemistry, physics. It's not just biology that I had to learn. I learned about astronomy, right? Even like climate change. Even like I learned a little bit about economy. I learned a little bit about politics, and human sociology and stuff like that. So putting that together, I think it really shaped me to be the way that I am. And yeah.
That's very much understandable. And college has been like a huge drive for most people. I know my 2 years in college, which isn't much, it helped drive towards this podcast. Even then,
information is key. It's for growth. I think it's really important. Some people say college is useless, or like high school is useless. No, it's not. Yeah. Well, I thought that when I was in high school. I thought high school was useless. Yeah.
I mean, who didn't, right?
But like when you start putting things together, everything that you learn up until now, you start to make sense of the world around you, and that'll build a foundation as to who you are as a person.
Right. You start learning about yourself, the stuff you do like, don't like, and how it balances.
And there's still a lot that I don't know. Some people might say, "Oh, my ideology is doo-doo water," right? And I need to learn more about other things. And I'm willing to learn more and build upon and change and improve.
As long as it comes in a constructful way. I don't want like any aggression from people who disagree.
People disagree. Like I'm pretty sure there are people who will say that is a stupid ideology. Here's why, and I'll be like, okay, let's listen to it. And I'll.
There's nothing wrong with disagreements. But whenever people go and get outwardly aggressive about it or extremely polarized, that can kind of shut down a society. And a community in a whole could just be affected by one very bad argument.
You see that every day these days, especially. kind of sad.
Oh yeah, don't you love?
It's not just states; it's everywhere. Like you see Germany going through similar things, Russia, Ukraine, Israel,
Germany,
Palestine,
France,
China.
Oh,
It's just everywhere.
dude, yeah. The whole world is all about discourse, but nobody's
Well,
talking.
I mean, it's been kind of like that for the history of the
Well,
world, but it's been more so now that information is more easily accessible and shareable, right?
do you think that we'll get to a point where we're like
I don't
over-connected?
know. I think the problem is because we are so engulfed in this information era, people are starting to really not care. And that is a side effect of what's going on right now, right? There's so much information out
Right.
there, and at some point you're just tired. People have very limited information span. We're like, like,
That
it's not like an
attention span.
attention span, but like how much information they can gather in a day or in a month, right? Like it gets tiring, and
Yeah.
some people are like, I'm pretty sick of it. I'm done. I don't want to care. And that,
Yeah. And the moment you
yeah,
stop caring,
and that's been happening more and more these days. At least I see it happening more. Yeah. So
right.
we have no idea which direction humanity will go, but it could just very much turn apathetic, right? We see it already. You look at
Right.
climate change. Everyone knows climate change is happening, right?
But nobody seems to be able to
Yeah,
care or
because
do enough.
they're becoming apathetic as more and more as time goes on, and we are kind of
Right.
losing the drive to change, and that's a scary part. Yeah.
This was crazy to me, right?
Mhm.
I told you I'm from Florida,
Yeah.
right? Recently there was a mass shooting at the University of Florida, UF, and 2 people died, 5 were injured, and one woman at this school was recording a TikTok video with a person bleeding out in the back, and she didn't care. She was just recording a video.
You're kidding.
Dude, I wish I was.
Oh,
She
man.
lost her scholarship. She got social backlash. But at the same time, that level of dissonance, that level of disconnect is just insane.
Damn.
Just wow.
Yeah. It is a bit concerning, the direction we are going right now, but I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah. There's not much that we can do right now about it.
Well, we're making this podcast. We're talking about it. Hopefully, more people will check out this video and kind of open up a different perspective of things. Yeah.
That's the goal. I just want to start conversation. So we ended up going over the bare minimum of perspectivism. There's really not much about it other than how much the individual cares. It was started way back in the Greek ages, brought up by Niehaus, and then the 20th century, 21st century elaborated on it. Do you think that this podcast has affected your perspective, changed a philosophy, or just opened up new thought processes?
I mean, I knew perspectivism. I didn't know the word for it, perspectivism, quote unquote. But I knew this perspective existed, so it wasn't like a too big of a surprise for me. It was insightful to revisit it, so
Yeah.
it's very nice.
With that, go check out Hosuh in the description of these uploads. We'll have one on YouTube, one on Spotify,
Yeah.
and gonna check out Plan3. Super cool guys. Love you, Hosuh. It's great.
We are still rusty, but we'll get better. We'll get bigger, and it's gonna be awesome. So if you want, go and subscribe. Thank you so much for inviting me to the podcast. It's been very insightful and very. I had a lot of fun time talking.
Thank you. I very much appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. I might come back. We'll see.
Hell yeah. All right.
Bye.
Bye.